Welcome back to sold-out Atlanta Fulton County Stadium for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Atlanta Braves. John Smoltz has the task of starting Game 1 for Atlanta. Throughout the series, we'll be hearing from the Los Angeles Dodgers' Orel Hershiser. He'll be sharing his advice with pitchers on both sides about how to attack hitters on the other side. To get us started, Orel talks about the importance of scouting reports in the postseason.
When you get into a league championship series, one of the main things to watch for is the relationship between the hitters and the pitchers. These guys have a lot of experience to draw from. They also have the scouting reports, but one of the main things that could change is how they react to pressure. Aggressive hitters could become disciplined hitters, but more often than not, disciplined hitters can become free swingers, and that's when they can be preyed upon by the pitchers. Let's watch this relationship and see how it develops over the course of this series.
John Smoltz with the second lowest earned run average in postseason play among active pitchers. Number one's his opponent tonight, Doug Drabek.
He led the National League in strikeouts, in large part due to the departure to the other league of David Cone. The lineup he will be facing tonight for the Pittsburgh Pirates has Alex Cole leading off in right field. Jay Bell, the shortstop. Andy Van Slyke batting third and center field. The cleanup hitter, arguably the game's best player, Barry Bonds. Jeff King, the third baseman. Orlando Merced batting sixth at first base. Mike LaValliere, the catcher. Jose Lean, the shortstop, batting eighth, and batting ninth, the Pirate pitcher, Doug Drabek.
And the defense for the Braves, three guys in the outfield who can flat go get them. Ron Gannon, left field. Otis Nixon, at least comparable to Andy Van Slyke, even though Van Slyke gets more publicity. David Justice in right field with the strongest throwing arm. Last year's most valuable player, Terry Pendleton, will be at third. Jeff Blauser, the shortstop. Mark Lemke, one of the heroes of last year's World Series, at second. Sid Bream, an ex-Pirate, at first base. And Damon Berryhill behind the plate.
The best time of the year for baseball fans is about to begin.
Oh, yeah.
Alex Cole to get postseason 1992 started. First pitch of the playoffs from John Smoltz, a ball high and away. Same spot, 2 balls and no strikes to Alex Cole, who joined the Pittsburgh Pirates in mid-season. He came over from Cleveland on July 3rd. And has been platooning in right field with Lloyd McClendon ever since. Along the line and left, Ron Gannon. 1 out. The umpires charged with the responsibility of working this series tonight. John McSherry behind the plate. Randy Marsh at first base. Steve Ripley at second. Gary Garling called the plays at third. Along the left field line, Jerry Davis. And along the right field line, Ed Montague. Different role for Ed this season. Last year he was in the CBS booth as our umpiring consultant.
Standing right behind us.
Jay Bell bounced the first pitch to short. Jeff Blauser throws him out. So quickly 2 down at the top of the first.
I don't know whether Alex Cole gave John Smoltz a chance to get wild. Usually your leadoff hitter, diminutive in stature, if he's having problems with the high fastball and going after the 2-0 pitch, it could have been out of the strike zone, and now Bell comes up and swings at the first pitch. Sometimes when a pitcher wants to get wild early, you have to allow him to do that.
Andy Van Slyke finished second in the National League batting race behind only Gary Sheffield of the San Diego Padres. He finished 6 points behind the San Diego third baseman. Another high fastball from Smoltz.
Smoltz is more effective up in the strike zone, but obviously if he's out of the strike zone, he falls behind hitters, and that's dangerous to Van Slyke and Bonds in particular.
Even with him now at 1 ball and 1 strike. Those the woes of Andy Van Slyke a year ago. Only 4 hits in the 7 games. Smoltz missed low. 2 balls and a strike.
And Van Slyke out of the chute in a hurry last year. He had a home run off Tommy Glavine his first at bat, and then doubled in a run his second at bat. So 2 of his 4 hits in his first 2 at bats last year.
He had a home run in the first inning of Game 1 last year off Glavine. Smoltz works a 1-2-3 first. After half an inning, the Pirates nothing, and the Braves coming up. The Pirates went in order in the top of the first. The Braves getting ready to come to bat against 30-year-old right-hander Doug Drabek.
Drabek has allowed only 4 earned runs in 4 postseason starts.
Those his numbers from this past regular season. The lineup he'll face for Atlanta this evening has Otis Nixon leading off in center field. Jeff Blauser, the shortstop. Batting third, Terry Pendleton, the third baseman. David Justice, the cleanup hitter in right field. Sid Bream is the first baseman, batting fifth. Batting sixth in right field, rather left field, Ron Gant. Damon Berryhill is the catcher. Mark Lemke bats eighth at second base, and the pitcher John Smoltz hitting ninth. Otis Nixon. Once Drabek's first pitch down to third, King throws him out. Jeff Blauser, the batter. The Atlanta shortstop looked at a breaking ball for ball 1. Blown away, 2 balls and no strikes. Blauser, one of 2 shortstops used regularly by Bobby Cox. Blauser, the better offensive player. You might see Rafael Belliard in this series for defensive purposes. The Braves are protecting a lead. Line, but caught by the third baseman King.
Oh, we said Jeff King would be a dominant player in this series. He's already had two plays at third base, but we were talking about his offense. He is really one of the key guys. We also talked about that pitching matchup on Friday night. Tommy Glavine, and I said in the opening, Bill Wakefield. Bill Wakefield used to be a pitcher in the major leagues. As a matter of fact, I roomed with him at one time, and it was a Freudian slip, possibly. His name is Tim Wakefield, and I wanted to make that correction early.
Well, I think the fans can understand if, like the players and participants, we were a little bit excited at the outset of the National League Championship Series.
Got that right.
King. You're right, Tim. He is a factor. All 3 balls down to Jeff King. He handled all 3 flawlessly. Each side goes in order in the first. Berryhill ranked only 22nd out of 24 National League catchers this season in throwing out runners. But he gunned down Merced to end the inning. So the Braves bat in the second with the game still scoreless. And the cleanup hitter David Justice at the plate with 1 strike. Sid Bream to follow, and then Ron Gant against Doug Drabek. Tied him up, and it's out of play, 0-2. Mentioned at the outset the slow start of the Atlanta Braves, 20-27 in late May, in last place, 7 games out at first. Like his team, Justice got off to a very slow start. Came on strong at the end, 11 homers over his last 43 games.
And then there was the incident where the Atlanta fans started booing David. Matter of fact, through 1, 3, or 4 game span here at Fulton County Stadium, some of them started throwing peanuts at David Justice. He was miffed. He expressed that, but they have made peace. Fans, that usually happens when you start swinging the bat. Fans are happy, and you're happy.
Yes, indeed. The 1-2 pitch. Blown away. Mentioned that Doug Drabek can be a free agent at the end of the season. He didn't want to talk about his contract yesterday at the press conference here in Atlanta. He told us at midseason, all things being equal, he would like to be back in Pittsburgh next year. Long run for LaValliere. He's there and makes a nice play. And that catch undoubtedly was captured by a number of photographers as he made the play right in front of their area.
Everybody talks about how this is the launching pad of a superb ballpark in which to hit. One of the areas that it's not a good place to hit is its foul territory. It's not as big as a park like Oakland, the Oakland Coliseum, but you do have a lot of foul territory here. And in most ballparks, that ball would have been out of play.
And the familiar chant for Sid Bream. Been platooning at first base with Brian Hunter. They've been an effective platoon. Combined for 24 home runs during the regular season, and Sid Bream has the first hit of the ball game. A line single to center with 1 out in the second.
Sid Bream ending up hitting .261 after being 2 for his first 25. A former member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Enormously popular in Pittsburgh and Atlanta. That's a pretty good deal. Popular in 2 towns.
Not as popular in Pittsburgh at the moment. Bobby Cox in his 4th season as skipper of the Atlanta Braves. As Ron Gant at the plate. Breaking ball missed outside to Gant. He finished the regular season with an average of .259, 17 homers, 80 runs batted in, and like Justice, most of his production came late in the year.
And you may remember we talked about the Gant and Drabek connection last year. Both of them are from Victoria, Texas. And Gant looking up to Drabek very much as he was growing up in that small town. Not too many National League pitchers can throw the ball by Gant inside. He is a dead pull hitter, only 25 hits to right field this year. Last year, only 9 to right field. He is as much of a pull hitter as anybody in the league.
And the Pirates play him that way. Barry Bonds way over in the left field corner. Well, that's a couple of pitches low and away. Isn't that pitching away from this defense where you pitch him low and away? Aren't you asking him to hit the ball on the right side?
No. If you throw a strike on the outside part, he's still going to pull it. That's one thing Clarence Jones, the hitting instructor, has tried to get him to keep the front side closed. Hit against the front side and try not to open up too much. You see that? See the opening up? You could see it there, the foot stepping toward third. We used to call it stepping in the bucket when we were kids. Now watch the front side. It leaves, and the pitch is on the outside corner.
Borderline pitch, called a strike. If he can pull that pitch with authority, good luck to him. Bonds even closer to the line now. Another borderline strike. And Gant is the second out of the inning, and the first strikeout victim of the night of Doug Drabek.
What Sean was talking about, Barry Bonds playing close to the line. Bobby Cox telling us before the game and alerting us to the way Barry Bonds plays Ron Gant. Van SLYKE in center field. Plays him about straight away, so the gap is in left center. And that's what Bobby said. He may get burned one day.
Damon Berryhill, the hitter. He's a switch hitter, batting .228 overall. It really doesn't matter, as you can tell from those numbers, in terms of batting average from which side of the plate he hits. But he's had much more power this year for right-handed. Two balls and no strikes, 2 outs, a runner at first. In the home half of the second, there is no score. As Tim mentioned, Doug Drabek with the best postseason earned run average of any active pitcher, 1.15, but his record in the postseason is only 2-2. Three and 0 now. We have the top two active pitchers in postseason ERA starting this game tonight. We'll see number 3 tomorrow afternoon. Avery will be opposed by Danny Jackson tomorrow. Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Berryhill taking all the way on 3-0, and it's 3-1.
Danny Jackson is 7th among active pitchers in postseason earned run average. There's Danny.
The 3-1 pitch. Fouled straight back and out of play. The count is full, and with 2 outs, Sid Bream will be on the move with the pitch. Bream takes off. Berryhill pulled it foul. The 10 home runs for Damon this year, a career high. Represented the most homers by Braves catcher since Ozzie Virgil, with 27 home runs in 1987.
I think against right-handed pitching, the Braves actually gain a little more punch by having Berryhill in there as opposed to Olson, but not against left-handers.
Bream runs again, and again Berryhill fouls one out of play.
9 of the 10 home runs that Berryhill hit this year were against right-handed pitching, so he has much better power from the left side. Even though back in 1989, he was telling us before the game he was a better right-handed hitter. We checked the books, and that year he had 340 as a right-handed batter. That was when he was a member of the Chicago Cubs.
Another 3-2 pitch. Sid Bream's going to require oxygen.
Plus that bad left knee that Sid has. He's had 3 operations on that knee. And unless the ball is hit to the wall in the gap, and that's tough to do against that outfield, especially in left center, I don't think Bream's going to have a chance to score, even though he is running on the play.
This is the 4th 3-2 pitch, and it's ball 4, just missed inside. First walk thrown by Drabek. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. In the Atlanta second, there is no score. One of last season's postseason heroes for Atlanta is at the plate, Mark Lemke. Lemke and missed below it inside.
Again, Barry Bonds, look how shallow Barry Bonds is in left field. With Mark Lemke hitting, he's not a powerful hitter the other way, or to right field for that matter. So if the ball is hit sharply to an outfielder, especially Bonds, look for a play at the plate with Bream, a slow runner on at second base.
Another off-speed pitch. This one a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Up the middle. Off the glove of Lane. Bream ran through a stop sign. Throw to the plate, not in time. 1-0 Atlanta.
postseason play that makes average hitters better hitters and slow runners fast runners. Mark Lemke driving in the first run of this contest. Look at Jimmy Williams at third base, holding up Sid Bream, and Sid says, so Jimmy says, okay, if you want to run, come on. And he scored. That was a reluctant run right there.
I think Jimmy changed it to a wave just to give him a little confidence for the rest of the trip in.
Excellent base running by Sid Bream, knowing the pitcher was coming up next.
A base hit and an RBI for Lemke, and Smoltz fouled one out of play. Sid Bream still winded, accepting the congratulations of Ron Gant. So Lemke, who was 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position in the championship series last year, 1 for 1 after one at bat this year. John Smoltz was a 160 hitter this year with 1 home run. He batted 75 times with 12 hits. The 0-2. He fought it off. Smoltz and Drabek matching up here. They are likely to be the starting pitchers for game 4. And if it goes 7, in all likelihood, they will each be out there for the 3rd time in the series. A ball and 2 strikes. Damon Berryhill, the runner at second. Mark Lemke at first. 2 hits in the inning and the walk to Berryhill. Struck him out with the breaking ball. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Drabek, but the damage done as Sid Bream scores the game's first run on the single off the glove of Jose Reyes. The Pittsburgh Pirates hitless through 4 innings. The Atlanta Braves lead 1-0 as they come up in the bottom of the 4th with the middle third of their order. David Justice leading on. The 1-0 pitch from Drabek pulled foul. Scatters the Braves in their dugout. With us tonight, coming off a recent 9-day Hurricane Andrew relief assignment in Dade County, Florida, is the Goodyear blimp, Stars and Stripes. Two balls and 1 strike. Certainly the relief effort continues in South Florida, and we hope that with the arrival of baseball's postseason, it helps to brighten the days and nights, those who are still struggling to put their lives back together. Three balls and 1 strike on Justice. This is a guy in his career, Tim, who has fared much better against left-handed pitchers.
It's unbelievable. 49 points higher against left-handed pitching than right-handers. A 301 career average against lefties, 252 against right-handers.
And a strike. Justice turned and looked at John McSherry. The pitch was on the corner. The count is full.
The big winners can make pitches like that when they're behind in the count. That's an 0-2 or a 1-2 pitch that he made with the count 3-1 to David Justice.
Pirates have 3 men on the right side of their infield for the payoff pitch. Bell, the shortstop, was on the second base side of the bag. But it didn't matter as Justice drew the walk, the second thrown by Doug Drabek. Doug had retired 4 in a row prior to that walk. Still has only surrendered 2 hits. The first went to this man, Sid Bream, a solid single to center. He scored the run. On the other hit, a single by Mark Lemke off the glove of second baseman Chico Lean. Justice is not much of a threat to run. He only stole 2 bases during the regular year, and he was thrown out 4 times trying to steal.
If he runs, it will be part of a hit-and-run play. Bream, a good contact hitter. We'll see what Bobby Cox has Jimmy Williams, the third base coach, do. By doing that, one of the benefits is that you stay out of the double play, and obviously Bobby Cox and the Braves have done a lot of that all year. The Braves hit into the fewest double plays in the National League. They hit into 82 all year long. So that's further proof that Bobby Cox likes to put the runners in motion.
Breaking ball bounced down to first. It's a foul ball. Foul ball. Justice will return to first.
It was a very close play right there. John McSherry off of the mask, but it was clearly foul. About a foot and a half. Merced completing the play. You don't know how they're going to call it. The tag play at second base, but it was clearly a foul ball.
The reason you didn't see a call from first base umpire Randy Marsh until much later is that on plays between home plate and the bag, that is the call of the home plate umpire. Toward the gap in left center. Bonds on the run. He won't get it. Off the wall and a hop. Justice is being waved in. Bell's relay is off the mark. It's 2-0 Atlanta.
Got that Sid chant going. I tell you, you're going to have more guys for the Braves changing their names to Sid. Only with Sid Bream does the crowd chant Sid, Sid. Well, he's 2 for 2. He has single, double, scored the only run of the game before this double over the head of Barry Bonds. Relay throw was a little low to Jay Bell at shortstop, but I don't think they have a chance to get Justice anyway. The ball had too much hand time, short hopping the fence. Sid Bream is 2 for 2.
And there's a good reason why only for Sid Bream do they chant Sid, Sid, Sid. He's the only guy named Sid on their team. He is 2 for 2 with a single and a double, an RBI, and a run scored. The batter. 2-0 Atlanta. Bream in scoring position with nobody out. After the visit by pitching coach Ray Miller, Gant bunts down to first. Merced bobbles, throws to first. It gets away from Lean. Here comes Bream to make it 3-0.
Could be a double error on that play. It could be an error on the bobble of Merced, and then another error on Merced overthrowing, allowing Bream to score. Or they could score it a hit and an error. But Ron Gant apparently crossing up the Pirate infielders. Bream, the ball hit the heel of the glove. He tried to peek up a little bit too early and then overthrew at first base. We'll see how it's going to be scored.
So Gant's at first. Still nobody out. And the batter, Damon Berryhill, who walked his first time up. It has been scored a sacrifice for Ron Gant. That's the first part of the scoring. They haven't announced the rest of it yet.
Yeah, it would seem to me that they could still give a double error. Sacrifice, and then an error on the bobble, and then an error on the overthrow, allowing Green to score.
That's right. The first error allowed Gant to reach. And the second allowed Green to score. To this point, only one error charged on the play to Orlando Merced, the first baseman. Gant was running on the pitch. It was fouled back by Berryhill, and now it's 0-2.
Well, if that's the case, give him a hit.
Well, I think the replay showed if Merced had handled it cleanly.
Yeah. That they would have easily had Gant at first base with the second baseman covering. So the error is on the throw.
Apparently so.
Allowing Green to score.
Gant can run. 32 stolen bases during the regular season. And he's perfect in postseason play in his career. 8 steals and 8 attempts. Not running on the 0-2 pitch. It's fouled out of play.
That ties Gant with Ken Griffey. That's not Junior. That's Junior's dad, Ken Griffey. Junior playing, of course, the remarkable player for the Seattle Mariners. Major League postseason record for most steals without being caught, and Jackie Robinson is second. How about that?
Distinguished company indeed. Three-0 Atlanta. The Braves have scored twice here in the fourth. Still nobody out. Gant, the runner at first. Another 0-2 pitch. Breaking ball, didn't miss by much. Jimmy Williams through the signs for Damon Berryhill. Jimmy Williams is reportedly one of the finalists for the Florida Marlins managing job. And among the others Marlins have spoken with, Bill Burton, the coach on the Pirates staff. Gant running. The pitch is strike 3. The throw not in time. So Ron Gant remains perfect in postseason play in stolen bases. Now 9 for 9, and he's in scoring position with 1 out after the strikeout of Berryhill.
And that is a major league record. 9 consecutive stolen bases without being caught as Ron Gant slides in head first to second. And he's there with 1 out.
Bottom part of the order at the plate, the number 8 hitter, Mark Lemke. He drove in the first run of the ball game with a base hit in the second inning. Off the glove of second baseman Lane. Throw to second. Bell dropped the throw as he tried to snap the tag on Gant. He didn't matter who would have been saved. Lemke was not exactly on a roll coming into the postseason. He hit only 171 in September. That was 3rd lowest in the National League in September. Tim said something about the postseason seems to bring out the best in Mark Lemke. Swing at a ball outside. Not just postseason, but runners on base in the postseason in particular. 455 his average in that situation. 538 when they're in scoring position. The 1-0. Close again, but ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. There is action in the Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen. The right-hander is Roger Mason, and the lefty Denny Nagel. Get some extra time. Going up pitching coach Ray Miller as Mike LaValliere is at the mound. Well hit, center field. Van Slyke on the move, makes the catch. Gant tags and takes third. He's there with 2 outs. Lemke hit it hard, but Van Slyke, a Gold Glove winner, was able to track it down. He hit that one a lot better than he did the ball in the second inning. Going to run with a hit in the second. This is a long fly ball out here in the 4th. 3-0 Atlanta. The pitcher Smoltz at the plate. Struck out his first time up. A little bit cozy and a count of 2-0.
This game being watched by 60 million people from 77 countries, and we would name them, but there are 2 outs. Not the people, the countries.
Steve Hurt still compiling the list of people. 2-1 the count. More than 3 million people filed into Atlanta Fulton County Stadium during the regular season. A single season attendance record. That was more fans this season than the Braves drew in 1988, 89, and 90 combined. Drabek has fallen behind his opposite number, the pitcher Smoltz, 3 balls and 1 strike. Swung at ball 4. You'd think up there 3-1 with a chance to take the walk. He'd be watching anything close pass by, but he swung with a pitch that looked to be off the strike zone.
Yeah, you can see John upset with himself. He's rolling his eyes saying, I know it was ball 4, but too inviting. A lot of pitches for Doug Drabek through 3 2/3 innings. That is uncharacteristic of Drabek.
Pitch count could be particularly an important factor if this is a 7-game series and Drabek pitches 3 times.
That's right, because Jim Leland's never done that with Drabek. He had 4 starters in 1990, 4 starters last year. Of course, he was forced into that position because of the injury to Doug in game 1 that we talked about earlier, the pulled hamstring.
Payoff pitch, fastball, sent back to the screen. So Smoltz is batting. Well, Jim Leland said when he approached Drabek about the idea of starting 3 games this year, Drabek said, "Let me think about it." He took 24 hours. Came back the next day and said, "Yes, I think I can do it, and I'd like to do it." Another 3-2 pitch. A little extra on that one from Doug. 2 strikeouts in the inning, but 2-run score, and after 4, it's 3-0 Atlanta. The Pittsburgh Pirates have now gone 27 innings against the Braves in National League Championship Series play without scoring a run. You might recall that they were shut out for the last 22 innings last year in the NLCS. Shut out in the last 2 games by Atlanta. John Smoltz has blanked them through 5 on just 1 hit tonight. Most of the offense has been provided by Sid Bream. He has singled and doubled, driven in 1 run, and scored 2 of the 3 Atlanta runs. Braves batting at the bottom of the 5th with a 3-0 lead in the top of the order up. Otis Nixon 0 for 2. He tried to bunt his way onto the 1st, and Jeff King threw him out. He bounced the second baseman, leaned in the 3rd.
Pittsburgh taking a 3-2 lead against Atlanta last year. They went back to Pittsburgh. They had to win 1, and Steve Avery shut them out 1-0 in Game 6. And it was John Smoltz in Game 7 that beat them 4-0. So they haven't scored off of Smoltz in the last 14 league championship innings.
Nixon fouled it off his foot. 1-2. I thought it was a great moment that Otis Nixon made the catch for the final out in the Braves' clinching game last Tuesday when they wrapped up the National League West. Jim Gray mentioned earlier he was not around at this time last year, off on a 60-day drug suspension. As we learned when we were here earlier in the year, Tim, this is a most repentant man. He put a lot of his own money, time, and energy into a film project. Story about a baseball player who has a great life and ruins it due to substance abuse, and that film is being shown in schools throughout the Atlanta area. Otis says he's determined to atone for whatever mistakes that he has made. That's a great way to do it. And SLYKE started back, but he has plenty of time to make the catch for the 1st out of the 5th.
Yeah, Otis Nixon from a town of 300 people, Evergreen, North Carolina. They're probably all watching tonight. I think that's safe to say. If they're not watching, they're here at the game. Article in the Atlanta Constitution today about the little town of Evergreen, North Carolina, and proud of their native son.
As they should be. Jeff Blauser is 0 for 2 tonight. If they did try to come to the game, they better know Otis to get tickets, because only 900 tickets went on sale here to the general public after they took care of the season ticket holders. A 1-1 the count on Blauser. Terry Pendleton to follow here in the 5th inning. 3-0 the Braves have the lead in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Ball and 2 strikes on Blauser. I mentioned the note during Jeff's first at bat. He and Juan Gonzalez, the only players in Major League Baseball this year to hit 3 home runs in a single game. Steve Hurt corrects the note sheet put out by the Braves and points out that Albert Bell of Cleveland also did it, but there's a slight catch in his case. Albert did it in a 12-inning ballgame. Weren't the Indians a great story in this 1992 regular season?
Second half of the season, they were about as good a club as there was in the American League East. Of course, Milwaukee and Toronto played very well. Cleveland just had a dreadful first half, but came on strong in the second half.
The future is bright with a nucleus of bright young stars, including Carlos Baerga, with 200 hits, at better than 300, at more than 20 homers, and more than 100 runs batted in. And it wasn't a fluke. He is a terrific player.
Kenny Lofton, Albert Bell,
and Charles Nagy. They have the starting pitcher to build the staff around. Blauser deep down the left field line, hooking toward the pole. It is a home run. solo homer for Jeff Blauser. He hit 14 during the regular season. That's the first home run of the 1992 postseason, and Atlanta leads 4-0. Pendleton takes a ball in the dirt.
Boy, did that ball get out of here in a hurry. An inside 3-2 fastball, and did he ever turn on it? Woo. That was a tracer to left field. The Braves led the National League in home runs with 138, and the shortstop position with 14 home runs. Blauser had 13 of those. I beg your pardon, he had all 14.
1-0 to Pendleton.
This is what is known as turning on an inside fastball. Look at that reaction by Doug Drabek.
The only question was, would it stay fair? It was out of here in a hurry, but it was hooking just as hard. Clearly it was a fair ball. Barry Davis, the umpire along the left field line. The 2-1 offering. Tied up Pendleton. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Bullpen is busy again. Bob Patterson, the lefty, and it's Roger Mason again, the right-hander throwing in the bullpen. Chopped down to first. Merced waves off Drabek and makes the play for the second out of the 5th. Braves lead 4-0. You mentioned the Cleveland Indians. There's another breaking story involving the other major league team in the state of Ohio, the Cincinnati Reds. Wire Services reporting that Lou Pinella's days as manager of the Reds are over. He met with Marge Schott today. According to the Wire Service reports, Marge Schott tried to convince Lou Piniella to stay on and offered him a 3-year contract. Lou Piniella decided he did not want to remain in Cincinnati.
Rumors circulating all summer long that Bob Quinn, the general manager, could possibly be deposed this fall also. Of course, there could be a team moving to Lou Pinella's hometown area, and that's in Tampa. I wonder if that means that the San Francisco Giants, and of course this is only a speculation, if they had possibly contacted Lou, if they moved to be the manager down there in his hometown where he's immensely popular.
The Associated Press quotes Lou Piniella as saying, "It was a good 3 years. It was a good experience. I made some friends. I enjoyed the town. I enjoyed the players I managed. When I met with Marge yesterday, she was hoping to change my mind." Actually today, obviously those quotes for tomorrow's edition.
Who would have thought that that would have happened when only 2 years ago Lou Piniella and the Cincinnati Reds swept the Oakland Athletics and won the World Championship. And they were riding high.
Again, they have the shift on for David Justice with the shortstop Bell on the right side of the infield. Two-two pitch. Breaking ball hammered into the Brave dugout. Again, that has them ducking.
Sometimes hitters are more inclined to pull the ball on the ground and more straight away in the outfield. You can see Andy Van Slyke shading just a shade to pull about 5 steps in center field. So some hitters have the characteristic that they pull the ball on the ground and more straight away to the outfield, or when they lift the ball. And Justice, sure enough, has good power the other way, but when he hits it the other way, the Pittsburgh Pirates charts show that he hits the ball in the air, so you might as well put the shortstop on the right side of second base.
Now the 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball lifted to deep right center. At the warning track, it's off the wall. Van Slyke scoops it up. Justice will stop at second with a double. Looked like Jim Leland was starting up the steps of the dugout. Here he comes.
It's like a breaking ball, a hanging curveball to Dave Justice. And this ball caroms off the fence and hits Van Slyke in the right foot. By the time he retrieves it, Justice bowls with a double. If there were one out, he'd probably be on third base. But with two, you might as well stay on second. Watch the ball come off the wall and hit Van Slyke in the right foot. And it caroms past Alex Cole trying to back up the play. And by the time Van Slyke recovers, Justice has a stand-up double.
Doug Drabek departs after 4 2/3 innings, relieved by Bob Patterson. Bobby Cox leaves the left-handed hitting Sid Bream. Up to bat against Patterson. Bream 2 for 2 tonight. Patterson's first pitch of ball. Sid singled and scored the first run of the ball game in the second. To the delight of his adoring throng here in Atlanta. He doubled to the gap in left center to drive in a run in the fourth and scored in that inning as well. Trying to deliver David Justice, who doubled with 2 outs here in the fifth. Blauser homered earlier in the inning, and that's a routine fly ball to center. Van Slyke the catch, and that ends the inning. The Braves add another on the solo home run by Jeff Blauser, and we'll return to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium after this word from your local station. Fastball high for ball 1 to King, who was 0 for 2 tonight. He is twice fouled out. And Smoltz pours in a strike, 1-1. Merced to follow. Lined and caught. An inch or 2 higher, and that ball was in left field. Pendleton got it at the top of his leap for the first out of the inning.
Well timed by Pendleton. Your inclination when you see a line drive hit at you and you're that close to the hitter, your inclination is to jump too soon. You have to fight that temptation.
Orlando Merced looked at ball 1. He walked his first time up, was thrown out trying to steal, and he struck out swinging in the fifth.
We talked about John Smoltz, and last year becoming only the 4th pitcher in history to start the decisive game of both the Championship Series and the World Series. The other 3 pitchers, Blue Moon Odom in 1972, Pete Vukovich in 1982, and Brett Saberhagen in 1985. The decisive games of both the National League Championship Series and the World Series. Or the League Championship Series and the World Series.
Mike LaValliere, the batter. He's bounced to second and struck out swinging. On the top of the 7th, 2 outs and the base is empty. Atlanta leads 4-0. Last year, both being 7s for Atlanta, were on the road. This year, if there's a Game 7 in the National League Championship Series, will be here in Atlanta. The Braves qualified for the World Series. Game 7 of the Fall Classic would be here as well. The catch made by Justice. Smoltz works a 1-2-3 inning. Stretch time in Atlanta, 4-0 Braves. The Braves in this series have the home field advantage, and if they qualify for the World Series would also have the home field advantage. The last 5 world champions in Major League Baseball have all had the double home field advantage in postseason play, including the Minnesota Twins last year. So that has been an important factor in recent years. It was not during the first 18 years of divisional play. 1969 through 1986, only twice did the team holding the double home field advantage go on to win the World Series. Trivia buffs, Oakland in 1973 and Cincinnati in 1976, those teams. Otis Nixon leading off in the bottom of the 7th against reliever Bob Patterson, who's pitched an inning and a third of shutout relief while allowing just 1 hit. Bell will have to hurry, he knew it, and he dropped the ball. Even if he had turned and gotten the throw off, it was unlikely he was going to get the speedy Otis Nixon, who's 1 for 4 tonight.
Whenever Otis Nixon gets a ball by the third baseman on the left side, you can put it in your pocket.
Otis had 41 stolen bases during the regular season. Placed him 7th in the National League in stolen bases. Bear in mind, for a while he was sharing time in center field with Deion Sanders. John Smoltz has shut out the Pirates on 3 hits through 7 innings. Blauser tried to sacrifice on the first pitch. He had a long look down at Jimmy Williams in the third base coach's box. Jeff hit a home run his last time up. Bunt try on the first pitch. It would appear the Braves' attitude in this inning is to play for 1 run. And many managers think this is a big run, a big difference between being ahead by 4 runs, where a grand slam could tie you, and 5 runs, where it's going to take a couple of disasters to squander your day.
Well, the other school of thought, I mean, Blauser homered his last time up. The other school of thought is to put the team away with a bunch of runs, and you don't do that by bunting.
They switch to the steal, and Nixon stole it with ease.
That's the biggest reason I'm against a bunt in a situation like that. I think you play more aggressively when you're ahead in the game by a large margin in the 7th inning. And with Smoltz throwing the way he does, 4 runs is a lot. So I think you got to go to play and put a team away. And you don't put them away with just 1 more run. You blow them out. And that's what I think by having Nixon steal. That's the mental thinking of mental thinking as opposed to physical thinking. Is that redundant?
Unless you're on Wayne's World, then it has an entirely different connotation. 2-1 on Jeff Blauser. Terry Pendleton is on deck. Bottom of the 7th, 4-0 Atlanta. Bell dancing around behind Nixon. Blauser asked for time. Fans groaned because Patterson started to throw, but they didn't realize it was Blauser who asked out.
Well, actually, Patterson should have stepped off before Blauser asked out, because Jay Bell wasn't back at his position yet. Patterson almost threw with the whole left side vacated.
Up and in, and now it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Jimmy Williams, former skipper of the Toronto Blue Jays. The signs for Blauser and Nixon. Blauser isn't only just in there for his bat. His fielding has really improved this season, according to manager Bobby Cox. Biggest reason why he's seen more playing time.
He has started 90 games this year, 48 against right-handed pitching and 42 against left-handers. And Bobby Cox is proud to see the development of Jeff Blauser, not only offensively, but defensively. Several years ago, there was even talk about a one-for-one trade, Jeff Blauser for Roberto Kelly, the fine player of the Yankees. Everybody kind of laughed at it for a couple of years because they saw the player that Kelly turned out to be, but now they're seeing what kind of player Blauser is.
Bobby said he would use Rafael Belliard for defensive purposes in late inning situations when he was protecting the lead, even though Blauser has improved defensively. So it's a possibility that this could be Blauser's last appearance in the ball game with a 4-run lead in the 7th. Bob Patterson set a career high in saves this year with 9, part of that bullpen by committee. Occasionally he had a chance to close out ball games.
Second in appearances for the Pirates behind Roger Mason. Bob had 60 appearances this year.
That was also a career high for him. Full count on Blauser, nobody out, and Otis Nixon at second in the 7th inning. Atlanta trying to build on a 4-0 lead. That's ball 4, first and second, and nobody out. It's the first walk thrown by Bob Patterson. We're at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, a rematch of the 1991 NLCS between the Pirates and Braves. And Game 1 in '92 finds Atlanta on top 4-0. As we speculated, Blauser is out of the ball game. Replaced by Rafael Belliard at first base, and Belliard will remain in the ball game at shortstop when the Braves take the field.
And to further our earlier point, had that sacrifice been successful, and the Braves would have a runner on at second and 1 out, and now they have runners at first and second, nobody out, with the meat of the order coming up and a chance to, for the most part, end it for the Pirates tonight and blow them out.
When you're already ahead 4-0, you have somebody at first base with 41 stolen bases. You might as well try and move them along that way rather than give up the out, and that's what the Braves did after the bunt try on the first pitch. Terry Pendleton is 0 for 3 tonight. Little looper that will fall in center. Nixon is being waved in. Van Slyke with the throw to the plate. It is cut off, and the Braves lead 5-0. That's the first run charged to Bob Patterson. Pendleton now 1 for 4 tonight, and it might be the end of the line for Bob Patterson. As Jim Leland is on his way to the mound, and indeed Denny Nagel is coming in. Denny Nagel into the ball game with his team down 5-0 in the 7th, and the Braves threatening to blow it wide open as Nagel inherits runners at first and second with nobody out. Rafael Belliard, the pinch runner at second base. Terry Pendleton at first for David Justice. Nagel slings it up there, and it's a ball to Justice, who is 1 for 2.
We also talked about Justice's prowess as a left-handed batter against left-handed pitching. A .301 career hitter against left-handers and .252 against right-handers. It's almost like if you change pitchers, it's very unusual to see it. You take the left-hander out and put the right-hander in to pitch against it.
2 balls and no strikes the count. You see Bell playing way up the middle for Justice a couple of times with David at the plate. He's been on the other side of the second base bag. Sliced out of play to the left. 2-1.
Pittsburgh charts probably show, as you see Sid Bream on deck, they probably show that Justice doesn't pull the ball on the ground as much against left-handers. He hits the ball the other way. That's one of the real good signs of how a left-handed batter hits against left-handed pitchers. There are his career numbers.
Breaking ball that wouldn't come down for Nagel. 3 balls and 1 strike. Came over from Minnesota in the trade that sent John Smoltz to the Twins.
Jim Leyland missing all of those innings from John Smiley, and he won it handily anyway.
Good fastball, and it tied up David Justice. The count now full at 3-2.
I don't think it's that adventurous to send the runners right now. You have a 5-run lead. We talked about trying to blow the other team away, and I would not be a bit surprised to see Bobby Cox put the runners in motion.
A little bit hard for Belliard to get much of a jump away from second with Bell right behind him. But they do move, and Justice lifts it to right, not very deep. The runners retreat as Cole makes the catch. That's the first out of the 7th inning. Atlanta leads 5-0.
The one thing is, if you're a base runner and you're running with the count 3-2 on the hitter, it's not imperative for you to get a good jump. The responsibility is all on the hitter for the most part to make contact. You can't get picked off in a situation like that, so you're going to play much more cautious to the bag. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a good jump, but it is up to the hitter to make contact if it's a strike.
Sid Bream, 2 for 3 hits in each of his first 2 at-bats. Did not see much action this year against left-handed pitchers. Had 33 at-bats against Southpaws. Went 8 for 33, a .242 average. He did not start a game this year in which a left-handed starter faced the Braves. One run in here in the 7th. 2 men on with 1 down. Merced to Bell, and they erase the middleman, Terry Pendleton. Belliard to third on the play. And Bream now 2 for 4, safe on the fielder's choice with 2 outs. Vallier and Bell at the mound discussing the philosophy with Ron Gant at the plate. Nagel's only 24 years old, and he just turned 24 last month.
I think the philosophy that Jay Bell and Mike LaValliere were talking about is what do you do if Sid Bream tries to steal second and draw a throw to allow Belliard to score. I don't think Bobby Cox would do that until Gant is deep in the count. If it's 0-2, no balls, 2 strikes, or 1 ball, 2 strikes, it's doubtful that he will send Bream. Gant a much better hitter against left-handers than right-handers.
Engel started Gant with a ball low and away. Ball 2 as Nagel tried to turn that one over and missed. Nagel's from Prince George's County, Maryland. Attended the University of Minnesota on a baseball scholarship. His 2-0 is fouled weakly off the end of the bat by Gant.
See, that's an example right there of pulling off the ball. When you hit a 2-0 pitch off the end of the bat, you're not going into the ball. It's a fastball on the outside part, and watch Ron Gant, the problems he has had pulling off the bat. He cues it foul over near the Braves dugout.
Back in our direction, 2-2 now on Gant. With this comfortable, at the moment, 5-0 lead, this crowd of 51,000 plus, 51,971, a little bit quiet.
For the chop shop.
A pop-up, King and Bell, and it's Bell. Just the one run in the long 7th inning for Atlanta. 5-0 Braves as we head to the 8th. There is action for the first time tonight in the Atlanta bullpen. Mike Stanton, the left-hander. Mark Wohlers, the right-hander. The 2-1 pitch. Well hit. Left field. Gant to the warning track, to the wall, and it's a home run. Chico Lane did not hit a home run during the regular season. He hits one in the top of the 8th inning of Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. And the Pirates are on the board. It's 5-1.
You talk about a shock. Not only did Chico Lane not hit a home run all year, he had 15 extra base hits. That was the fewest in the National League for those that qualified for a batting title, or 502 plate appearances. And here he takes a high fastball off of John Smoltz and takes him deep. That was a shocker right there.
His 9th major league home run ever. He had 3 in 1991, only 1 in 1990. The Pirates were on the verge of a record for scoreless innings in League Championship Series play. They had been shut out for 29 innings. Prior to the home run by Lean, the record 30 scoreless innings by Baltimore, held scoreless by the Athletics in 1974. Barry Varsho, the pinch hitter for the pitcher Nagel. And the count is a ball and 2 strikes. So the shutout bid of John Smoltz goes by the board in surprising fashion. Saw the perplexed look on the face of Bobby Cox. He couldn't believe it. Two and two now. And all of a sudden, Smoltz seems a little bit out of sync. Home run was just the 4th hit he has allowed tonight. Smoltz was approaching a record of his own. He had thrown 16 consecutive scoreless innings in National League Championship Series play. The NLCS record is 16 1/3, set by Steve Avery last year. Still have a chance to continue that streak tomorrow afternoon against the Pirates. Hot smash handled nicely on the hop by Lemke, who threw him out. Varsho hit a bullet, and Lemke made a terrific play. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, Sean, you just mentioned that John Smoltz looks a little bit out of sync. Well, one of the reasons for that, at the end of last inning, he went into the clubhouse and got a chiropractic readjustment on his back. He was complaining that his right groin was hurting him. Went in the clubhouse, his back was hurting him. So he got a readjustment. They're going to monitor him very closely. And Dave Persley, the Braves trainer, said they're going to keep a very close eye so that he doesn't further aggravate anything. Sean?
Thank you, Jim. As we've mentioned, he's scheduled to pitch in Game 4 and Game 7 if necessary. Alex Cole, 1 for 3. He singled his last time up. That was in the 6th inning. In the 8th now, the Braves lead 5-1. 1 out and the bases empty, and count of 1 ball and 1 strike on Cole. Well, if he hits a home run, then we really will have an investigation.
It's time for the bullpen.
In the air, but not deep. And Justice puts it away for the 2nd out. Over 100 pitches for Smoltz. 108 to be precise. As Tim mentioned at the outset, he was part of a starting pitching staff that is accustomed to throwing a lot of innings. We're proud of the fact that in general they don't throw a lot of pitches in those innings. Braves starters average about 100 pitches per start.
And that's because they don't give up a lot of runs. They lead the majors in shutouts with 24. You don't give up a lot of runs, you don't throw a lot of pitches.
No swing, says Randy Marsh. The ball and a strike on Jay Bell, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. Balls and 1 strike.
We also mentioned at the opener that the team that wins probably will get the deepest into the ball game with their starters, and certainly this is a case where that's happened.
Pendleton throws him out. Pirates get their first run of the ball game in the 8th on the leadoff home run by Chico Lean, his first in 1992. Still 5-1 Atlanta as the Braves get ready to come up. Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver in Atlanta, where the Braves lead 5-1 as they get ready to come up in the 8th inning against the 4th Pirate pitcher of the night, right-hander Danny Cox.
Danny Cox initially with the St. Louis Cardinals. He was invited to spring training this year by the Phillies, released by the Phillies in late May, and then he signed on with Pittsburgh in the middle of August, 3-1 with 3 saves for Pittsburgh.
Facing Damon Berryhill, who was struck out twice and walked his first time up. Mark Lemke on deck, then John Smoltz is due. Cox, as we mentioned, might have been the odd man out had Zane Smith been able to pitch in the postseason, but he's been bothered by recurring left shoulder problems. Will likely require arthroscopic surgery. So Cox is here. Isn't like last year when Jim Leland had a couple of tough decisions to make, and as he says, I broke the heart of Neil Heaton last year when I told him he was not going to be on the postseason roster.
Well, I'll tell you, Danny Cox and Damon Berryhill went through some tough times in 1990. There's Jim Leland talking about Neil Heaton last year. But it had to be heartbreaking for Damon Berryhill and Danny Cox. Neither of them played in 1990. And here they are playing against one another in the League Championship Series. Danny Cox missed 2 years, and we talked about Berryhill's ailments earlier, and you just saw Greg Olson with his leg in the cast propped up in the Atlanta dugout, and he's missing all of the postseason play because of the broken right ankle. Perseverance pays off.
Greg Olson out of action with the broken right ankle. This is Olson without coffee. Jay Bell handles the pop-up for the first out of the 8th. This is the rematch. Let's go back to Game 1 of the NLCS last year. The series began in Pittsburgh, and it set the tone for the other 6 games. Andy Van Slyke's home run in the first inning got the Pirates off to a quick start against Tom Glavine. And while Doug Drabek's pitching was outstanding, his base running was not. You saw him swing, and on that play in the 6th inning, he injured his hamstring trying to stretch a double into a triple. He left in the 6th inning, but Bob Walk came in and pitched the final 3 innings in relief as the Pirates won, ironically enough, 5-1. And that's the score here, but this time it's Atlanta on top. Lonnie Smith has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for John Smoltz, so apparently Smoltz's night will end after 8 innings. In the 9th, the meat of the order due up for Pittsburgh: Andy Van Slyke, Barry Bonds, and Jeff King.
Yeah, last year Pittsburgh won the first game, then Atlanta won 2, and then Pittsburgh won 2, and Atlanta won the last 2. It was almost like a Lawrence Welk record that was stuck. 1, 2, 2, 2. 1 and a 2 count, huh?
What you said. 2-2 the count on Lemke. He's 2 for 3 tonight. There's one other score of interest in sports tonight to Pittsburgh fans. The Penguins, beginning their defense of their back-to-back Stanley Cup championships, open the season tonight with Philadelphia, an appealing matchup of the Flyers' first regular season game with Eric Lindros, and that ended in a 3-3 tie. Lindros had a goal for Philadelphia, and Mario Lemieux had one for Pittsburgh. For those folks in Pittsburgh who won't be able to read about it tomorrow because of the newspaper strike, Scotty Bowman returned to coach the Penguins. He was named coach this morning. Coach last year, but he's holding out in a contract dispute. What a refreshing change. Usually it's players missing all of training camp in a contract dispute. Turnabout is fair play. Scotty Bowman says, I'm going to sit out for the day of the game. Great team. Still 2-2 on Mark Lemke. There's Danny Jackson. He'll be in the spotlight tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Jackson losing his first 7 decisions this year as a member of the Chicago Cubs, traded for Steve Buechele in midseason. But his postseason record is a lot better than the record he posted this year. Against Atlanta this year, he did not fare. Actually, he was 0-4 against Atlanta. But one of those games, a 1-0 defeat, and that was the game where Otis Nixon made what some people are saying was the greatest catch that they had ever seen. The Atlanta Braves, as a matter of fact, Bobby Cox says that they keep watching that catch day in and day out. They just put it up when they want something pleasurable to see.
On July 25th here in Atlanta, he robbed Andy Van Slyke of what would have been a game-tying home run in the 9th inning. And here's the catch. Van Slyke batting against Alejandro Pena, and watch this catch.
Woo! Climb that wall, Otis. That was a play in a game in which the Atlanta Braves got 1 hit, and that was a solo home run by David Justice off Danny Jackson, and Atlanta won it 1-0.
Bear in mind that Otis Nixon started that play in left center field. He sprinted all the way to right center, climbed the wall, and went over the wall to bring the ball back and preserve the win. Mark Lemke aboard, following the walk by Cox, and Lonnie Smith is batting for John Smoltz. Smith, a part-time player this year. He appeared in 84 games and hit 6 home runs. Well hit to right, but room for Alex Cole as he drifts back. Now a step or 2 in for the 2nd out of the inning. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Mark Lemke at first. Atlanta leading 5-1. Here's Otis Nixon, 1 for 4, infield single, a stolen base, and a run scored in the 7th. In all likelihood, it'll be Mike Stanton the pitch for Atlanta when we go to the top of the 9th. He's the only man throwing. Pretty good clue, huh? And they have Van Slyke and Bonds as the first 2 batters coming up in the 9th inning. Both of them left-handed hitters. A ball low. Lemke not at all a threat to run. He did not have a stolen base this year. He was thrown out 3 times trying to steal. One ball and 1 strike on Otis Nixon. Things that Jim Leland said he liked most about Danny Cox, his experience. He is a tough competitor. He's been in a lot of pressure situations in his career, and obviously that's a big plus when you're pitching in the pressure of postseason.
Pitched in postseason for the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1985 when the Cardinals beat the Dodgers and then went on to lose to Kansas City in 7 games.
That was his best season in the major leagues. He was 18-9 in 1985 for St. Louis with an ERA of 2.88. And then he started having arm problems, and he really hasn't been the same since. One ball and 2 strikes on Nixon. Draws a throw. Fans groan. They're aware that Lemke really is not the threat to run. A lot of the fans have departed as this game approaches the 3-hour mark.
Like a Watergate matchup here, huh? Nixon versus Cox.
A reference to Archibald Cox, I presume.
Cox.
Not Wally Cox.
Or Bobby Cox.
Foul tip into the middle of LaValliere, and that ends the inning.
I'm so glad we got that in.
The big guns coming up for Pittsburgh. Van Slyke, Bonds, and King. They need 4 to tie. 5-1 Atlanta. Van Slyke, Bonds, and King due up in the 9th inning for Pittsburgh against reliever Mike Stanton, who's on after 8 outstanding innings from John Smoltz. Smoltz allowed just 4 hits and 1 run on the lean home run. Goodyear blimp stars and stripes. 0-2 the count on Van Slyke.
I think the most memorable thing about Stanton last year in postseason play was in Game 7 when Bobby Cox, with runners on at 1st and 3rd, walked Kirby Puckett.
He blows Van Slyke away on 3 pitches.
And the Next batter was Ken Herbeck, and Ken Herbeck hit into a double play. A little humpback liner to the second baseman who stepped on second, Lemke, that is, and that game going into extra innings. And he was throwing about as hard to Herbeck that night as he was to Van Slyke just then. This guy is a key guy in the Atlanta plan at Stanton, that is. He can blow left-handers away, and he just did that to Van Slyke.
It's had kind of an up-and-down year, and for a while he was the target of bluebirds here at Fulton County Stadium. Working to Barry Bonds with a count of 1-0. Bonds 0 for 2 tonight. 1-1 the count now.
Aren't too many left-handed relievers who can get it up there 93, 94 miles an hour. Those last two pitches to Bonds, 94 miles an hour. The last one, 93. Nasty slider away.
Just don't hit that pitch. Stanton at the end of June had an ERA of 7.20. No wonder they were booing. Since then, 2.10 his earned run average. Belliard throws him out, and the Braves are 1 out away from victory in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Bonds picks up where his postseason in 1991 left off. 0 for 3 tonight is Barry Bonds. So it's up to Jeff King to keep the Bucks alive. He's 0 for 3. As fans remain on their feet, most of them, in anticipation of the final out of the ball game. Stanton's first pitch to King, the ball low. This is not a save situation for Mike Stanton. Jim Leland is starting to look to tomorrow afternoon. And they'll have Danny Jackson on the mound. Three balls and no strikes. Should King reach, Orlando Merced would bat next. Down the right field line, and a long run for Justice. He can't get there. King on his way to second, and he'll get in there standing as Justice couldn't scoop it up on his first attempt. So the Pirates are still alive with a 2-out base runner in the 9th inning. That's just the 5th hit of the night for Pittsburgh.
And that gives you an idea of how hard Stanton is throwing when a strong hitter like Jeff King hits a fastball down the right field line on a 3-1 count. John Smoltz was overpowering this evening, the only run coming on a Chico leaned home run. And how unusual is that? He didn't hit one all year and hits one in the first game of the LCS.
Now Merced 0 for 2 with a walk, his first time up. Batting for the first time tonight from the right side of the plate. And he looked at ball 1.
I'm really surprised to see this with 2 out and 1 on here in the 9th inning. I mean, you have right-handed batters over there. Merced does not start against left-handed pitching. It's clearly his worst side. He is, for the most part, a left-handed batter. He is a switch hitter, but for the most part, he only bats left-handed because that is the only side of the plate required by Jim Leland. Leland does have Don Slaught on deck to pinch hit for Mike LaValliere. But you do have Lloyd McClendon, but I guess you don't want to waste them before it's time to tie the game. But you got to get there first.
Well, you have Gary Reedus, who platoons at first base with Merced all year long. There's Don Slaught, who's moved into the on-deck circle to bat for Mike LaValliere. Out of play and right. And now the Pirates are down to 1 strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Merced with 2 outs. Jeff King at second in the top of the 9th. Jeff Reardon is ready just in case, as is Mark Wolders. The Braves lead 5-1. The 2-2 pitch. He struck him out. And game 1 of the NLCS belongs to the Atlanta Braves.
A great start for smoking John Smoltz as he threw 7 shutout innings to lead the Braves to a 5-1 win over the Pirates. Join us next week as we will bring you up to date with the playoff picture here on Screen Sport.